Hello there guys, and welcome back to Traffic Jam Simulator 2013. SimCity 2013. Easy mistake to make. I do have some terrible traffic problems in this city, and that is one of the first things that I need to get sorted out. In fact, there's quite a few things in this city that I need to get sorted out, so we'll be taking them one step at a time. However, there is some good news. SimCity now has an offline mode, so you can play this game in sort of single player, where you play all the cities in a region, and it saves locally. You don't have to be online. You do still need an internet connection to play the game, because it still obviously does validation for the DRM and everything, and obviously periodically checks for updates, but you don't need to have an internet connection once you've validated the game to be able to play it. It has a single player mode, which is great news. A lot of SimCity fans been waiting for that for a very long time. So I'm just going to babble on for another second or two while I'm just waiting for the money to continue to roll in and all of the various pop-ups to finish, which mainly result in what other people have been doing in the region. Massive amounts of traffic up here, which, as I said, really need to be dealt with. I need to do something about that. Can I actually upgrade those roads? I know I'm trying to save money here, but if there's any way I can reduce the traffic here, let's make these high-density avenues wherever we can. Let's do absolutely everything to try and reduce some of the traffic here. It's absolutely bonkers. We don't want streetcars here, although streetcars might well be something that we end up having later on, actually, so we will keep that in mind. But in the meantime, let's try and deal with a lot of the traffic. Now, somebody did have quite a good suggestion, which is, because I'm having a lot of problems with my police and fire service being able to reach some of the houses down here and some of the industry over there because they're getting caught in the traffic, somebody suggested that it might be a good idea to have additional fire stations and police stations dotted around the map further afield. Now, that's not a bad idea. It's certainly something that I used to do when SimCity first came out, and it was having some of its issues, more than it has today. And yeah, it is expensive to build multiple police stations and fire stations, but when you consider what it costs to run one of these per day compared to how much it costs to run the big ones, it's often more viable to have 2 or 3 of these than it is one big one, provided of course you don't have like the full number of garages on every one. However, it still causes some problems because the AI is still a little bit buggy, and you could have a fire station here and a fire at a house here, and it would try and dispatch the fire appliance from this station. So it certainly has some issues. I noticed this street here is actually getting quite congested. What's the upgrade level of this street? Looks like that is actually high, well, some of it's high density. So let's make as much of that high density as possible. Try and stem the flow of traffic if we can. It really is the sort of time now that I actually need to start upgrading some of these houses and getting them up to the highest density possible, because there is actually a worker shortage in this city. That's not even high density, that's a bit of an oversight. Let's get the rest of these finished. So if we can get any or some of these buildings to high density and really increase the population here, that is certainly going to help with being able to get some more workers in our buildings. Now, one thing that I did want to do, and it's still something that I'm planning to do, is get the sort of futuristic power generator up and running. That is going to be the very next thing I do, I believe. I think we have enough money for it now. There's a few extra bits and pieces that we can build, of course. We can now have the garbage atomizer. Of course, that comes under waste disposal. Or does it? It's an upgrade for something. Maybe it's one of the mega towers. Oh no, it is actually just for our garbage dump. 25,000. I mean, it's cleaner than these things. Costs the same amount of money to build. Does cost slightly more to run, but it certainly can deal with a much well, I say much higher, 1.8 tons as opposed to 1.5 tons, so it can certainly deal with some of the overflow. How are we doing here, though? We do have a little bit of garbage in the dump, so we've also got a little bit of a problem, is we've got nowhere that we can actually flipping build, because it has to go onto the side. Okay, What's this building here? That's our bus terminal. I knew I was going to have problems building things so close to one another. This is a factory. It's just a factory. They'd be quite annoyed if I destroyed them, but what I'd like to do, if possible, is destroy them. Yeah. This is probably going to upset some people, but oh, what happened there? Not sure, got some points for it anyway. What I'm going to do, if I can now, is put in the garbage atomizer here on the side, and then we're going to connect up this road instead. There we go. And then let's replace some of the industrial along there, and a little along here, and let's get rid of that because it's pointless. There we go. So we had a little bit of issue there. Might get some more in there. Not sure if any will fit, but there we go. Demand for industrial is going down, of course, which is nice. So that's certainly going to help us out. I wonder, actually, maybe I made a mistake there, because what I could possibly have done... Yes, I could have actually done that. It was stupid of me not to. I think I will actually remove the original incinerator. There we go. I could have just done that in the first place. Now, it says control net is needed. I should have control net because I do have the academy. So that should be currently transmitting 2,440. Maybe it's because it's short-staffed. No, this should still be enough, so we'll leave it going. Certainly not going to have enough to get our power up and running. Right, what have we got here? The academy. What is our problem? Some of your building modules do not have enough control net to function. A neighbouring city has control net that you can buy. Well, yeah, that's fair enough, but I should still be outputting enough. Needed 2,700. Capacity 2,440. Oh, of course, we also have the sewage sanitizer, don't we? Almost completely forgot about that. So I think the problem here is a lack of high wealth workers. That is going to be problematic. Of course, we could get some more high wealth. We do have high wealth over here. And they want us to upgrade the roads to increase density. And a lot of this is our high wealth area, isn't it? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get these roads upgraded. Let's get onto the right menu first. We're now having power issues, of course. But we've got to be careful because I can't do an awful lot about the power issues until I've actually managed to get the... let's just go straight up to high density where we can. Can't do a lot about the power issues until we have enough control nets. So let's get everything upgraded as quickly as possible. Worst case scenario, we will go and just buy some control net from one of the neighbouring cities. We can just about afford to do that. The good thing is these buildings are actually all ready to upgrade. Now, of course, this is going to be more strain on the infrastructure because it's definitely going to use more power. But we're basically just going to make all the roads we can find high density now. It's we'll just have to deal with the consequences. So let's make all of these. I think I'll probably leave a few over on this side. But I'd certainly like to make all of these ones high density. See what we can get. That's done. That's done. Let's go for that one. That one's done. Let's go for that one as well. So let's do these ones along the edge. And I think we've got those ones all done in the middle. Okay, there we go. So most of this should now be high density. If not all of it. One we missed there. Okay, good stuff. Now, this is still going to cause us some power issues. So what we are going to do in the meantime is we are going to add some more wind turbines to the existing power plant, just to tide us over for the time being, because we do have a rather significant deficit. We could put on the wind power amplifier. Of course, we know we're having a problem, or at least we were having a problem with control net. I'm not sure if that that has been sorted yet. It says we are currently transmitting, which is fine, but I don't think we have enough. I don't want to take the risk, so I'm not going to put the power amplifier on there for the time being. What I'm actually going to do is, these are quite expensive, and they're quite large, but it should help tide us over. So I'm going to extend the service road out, And we're going to put a couple of the... No, I can't even get 2 on that side of the road. We'll put 1 up and we'll put a couple of the smaller ones on this side. Just to keep us going as much as possible. Hopefully that should be enough to get us back in the green. So we're going to need to get the other power plant sorted. We also need... Oh no, sewage seems to have sorted itself out. What's going on here? We have an upgrade available for City Hall. So let's go ahead and do that. Not a lot of point in adding one of the modules on there. Everyone seems relatively happy, which is all good. Fire station is still going to want us to expand. Probably got... No buildings burnt down currently. Getting a lot of larger buildings. Now, of course, another good thing with having the high density and the large buildings means you generally get less fires because you have less buildings, which means there's less chance of having fires. And if you do have fires, you're going to have less of them. Now, these houses here obviously are never going to be able to upgrade because they're a little bit too close to this road, which is a bit of a shame. Bit of an oversight on my side. Although it could be a good idea to actually take something like parks and things and put them in there. So we could go for some... Well, down here we could take ourselves some high wealth stuff and put things like that along here. And then we could take some of the lower wealth stuff. And let's take some of the nature ones because they're quite nice. And we could put... Have we got one with a bit of a bigger radius? Yeah. And then we could put something like that in here, which does help with some of the happiness. So, how is the academy doing? Still slow. It is getting a few more high wealth workers, but not a huge amount. The amount of control net it is putting out is now better, which should be enough to run the garbage atomizer, which it is. Now, that big power plant, how much does that require? Fusion power plant requires 1,450 control net. Now, we certainly don't have that much to spare at the moment, which is a bit of a shame, because we really would like to get there. So, while we can't do anything with that at the moment, let's think about what else that we want to do in the region. Well, the whole purpose of this region, really, was to have a university. So, that is going to be a big part of our plans. We'd also like to get the airport in here later on, but that's going to go down at the bottom. So, we'll try and keep the airport and all the touristy stuff down at the bottom. Now, where will the university fit? The university is quite large, and on top of that, it also has a few sort of annex buildings that you end up building for it. So, do I build it here directly on top of the... what do we call this? The avenue. Do we build it directly on top of the avenue, or do we try and build it somewhere else? I mean, this might be a nice place to have it over here. But of course, if a lot of people travel to it, it will cause a lot of traffic. And it's going to limit us for our building space. And we'd like to put a ferry terminal over there at some point. No, we've got a ferry terminal here. I think this might be a good place to build it. Of course, it might also be a terrible place to build it. But I think I'm going to build it there anyway, because I like terrible ideas. And as you can see, it is increased a lot of happiness. Now, I don't have any school bus stops down here, of course, because I placed all the bus stops before I built this area and then promptly forgot to place any bus stops afterwards. So let's put a few in, and that should certainly help with the happiness around here. Should be able to get a few more people educated. So, as you can see, it's still hiring people. It costs quite a bit of money to run, and you can research various projects here. Now, we're probably not going to have to do a lot of them because they're already going to be done in the region. So, solar arrays being completed. The solar farm, great work, requires a school of science, which we currently don't have. The vertical turbine has been completed. We know because we've already placed one, so somebody's been able to do that. A Generation 2 thermal reactor, that's been done. The fast neutron reactor's also been done. We need a school of engineering for a clean coal generator. The clean oil generator has been completed. Surgical centre requires a school of medicine, and a detective wing has also been completed. And the space centre, great work, also requires a school of engineering. So, there's nothing that we generally can or need to research at the moment. Now, as you can see, there are dormitories which allow us to basically have extra people, and we've got pedestrian paths which allow us to join everything together. And these are the extra bits that we get. It should tell us if we have any in the region. Can't see where it says that we do, it does raise the land wealth value, which is another reason why I wanted to put it down here near these houses as well. But we need have more university students attend a class per day to reach your upgrade threshold. And if we click on it, it should actually say, yeah, we need 1,000 students a day in classes before we can upgrade. Fair enough. So what have we got going on here? Yeah, wants us to expand, but there's no real point because we've already had a look at that and there's nothing we can do. So we've still got some money. Hopefully we're getting a bit more control net going on now. Now, what are we actually up to with control net? No control net boost. Currently transmitting 2,920. I think we may be able to get away with getting the power plant in. Now, if I can build it in here, which I might be able to. I mean, it's a fairly big building. Yeah, what I'd like to do is the sewage sanitizer is going to get in the way, but if I build it here, then once it's up and running, we can remove this this wind farm, which will then allow us to be able to put another reactor on this side here. I don't think we're ever going to need the third reactor, and if we do, I'll just move the sewage sanitizer. Simple as that. Although the sewage sanitizer is actually struggling at the moment, so we need to put another one of these on, although it does require a fair bit more control net usage. Not enough simoleons. Wow, did we actually use that much money putting down the power plant? Actually amazed at that, although this does seem to be working. No, it's struggling again. Yeah, I think we're definitely going to need to put another one of those on there. So we certainly need some more money. Again, obviously it's going to complain that control net is the issue, as we know. We have quite a major deficit at the moment, but there's not an awful lot I can do about that. Apart from buying it from somewhere else, of course. What are we currently researching the upgrading to level 2? It still needs high wealth workers, though. That is our biggest problem. Now, why haven't these houses here upgraded in size? Did I miss a road somewhere? Let's have a look. Doesn't say I did. Obviously, these people are just unhappy in some way. Yeah, they're not quite there yet, but they probably will be sooner or later. Now, these are the sort of high wealth apartments, but as you can see, they have very few people living in them. They only have sort of 7 residents, so there's still some density increases that can happen, but that won't happen until the people are a fair bit happier. Obviously, these houses haven't increased inside yet. We miss going to school. Well, there are schools, there are universities. I'm not sure why this is a problem. I guess we could put another school in. I mean, I don't have a lot of money. Yeah, the problem does certainly seem to be schools. So I think what we'll do, assuming we can afford just a standard school, which we can, is we'll just throw one down over here, which is quite close to the area. Doesn't have a lot of reach, but there should certainly be enough classroom capacity there to deal with some of them. What have you got going on here? Are you going to want to have some sort of party? No, you still want me to build a recycling centre? Eventually. Eventually, but not now. I'm loving this futuristic building with all these sort of weird layers and levels. It'd be awesome if they actually moved and rotated around. A nice little swimming pool on the top there. The university's doing well. It's almost at a third, well, it's just over a third of its capacity actually, so that is a good start. What are these missions? Complete a research project. Well, we're working on that, but it is slow, of course, because of the number of sims we have. And bring in 200 passengers in a day by ferry, which is going to be a little bit difficult because we do know we have the well, I've closed it for a start, but there wasn't really enough people in the region to use it, and it was just eating away at our money. So I think for the time being we'll leave that, but may increase it later on. Oh yeah, this is the one where the guy wants to have a party, and if we clean up all the rubbish we get a little reward. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, we are starting to have power issues apparently, but I think that's just because the control net's not connected, so that's fine. I think it's time to connect this road up here. Now then, how are we doing for control net? It's still not going... We are increasing more, but we still don't have enough. need more control nets, which means we need more high wealth workers, or I'm going to have to buy some from somewhere else. Yes, you can build little buildings that improve the amount of control net you get, but you still have the same problem, which is basically that you need workers. Okay, so we have a deficit, but there is 5,760 available in the region. I'm going to go to the region. So ControlNet, I can actually buy it from Vaultville because I have a fair bit to spare. So I'm going to click buy, and it's that simple. We're not using any from there at the moment, but we are now buying it from Vaultville. So if we go back out of here, so obviously we know we're going to have a little problem because that little mission is going on. Now it says we require ControlNet, but we should be buying it from our neighbour. Takes a little bit of time for it to filter through, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of garbage cans out there. I think this is the issue. Don't have enough garbage trucks. Yeah, okay, fair enough. That seems reasonable. So let's go ahead and give you another truck or two, because you do only have one. So I guess that's fair enough. Don't have a lot of room here to put... Oh, there's a little bit of room in front of the garbage atomizer. So let's go ahead and put you another couple of garbage trucks in. Now, we do seem to be... Are we dealing with the sewage at the moment? Only just. Okay, so we do have enough to ignite the fusion reactor. I think what I'd like to do... Well, power is our issue at the moment. Now, obviously, if I hit this, it's going to take the power out of the rest of the city. So, have I got enough money to upgrade this yet? Yes, I have. So, let's pop that on there. That means we've now got an excess, and we can get a little bit ahead of the sewage problem before I start killing the power. And also at the same time, I'd like to try and finish that mission that we're currently on with the garbage before I kill the power, because that's certainly going to cause some issues as well. How are they doing? Collect 250 cans before the time is up. Almost halfway, well, over halfway there, 15 hours left. That is almost done. That is brilliant. Obviously now I've got to make sure that I don't end up using all of the control net in Vaultville because I'm selling some of it off. But of course, once I get enough high wealth workers here, I'll be able to stop with that. Okay, so that mission is done. Still very low on high wealth workers here. Maybe we are going to need a mega tower. That gives us some more money. Okay, so let's go ahead and ignite the fusion reactor. Now, this does take a little bit of time because it sucks in all the power from everywhere else. Let's just put it on normal speed. So whenever you hit this thing, it takes a little bit of time to charge up, and it basically sucks the power from everywhere else in the city. You can see it. So everywhere else is going to suffer momentary blackouts. And as you can see, everything has gone offline. Our water's gone offline, the sewage has gone offline, all of our buildings, the fire, the hospital, the police, the schools, everything is currently stopped working because we are using all of the power. Not sure why I'm selling power to neighbours. I don't really have enough to spare. Charge failed. More power needed. Wow. Well, that certainly didn't work out how I expected it to. So, okay, we're going to need to get a bit more power before we can ignite that. So, let's leave everything as it was and hope that all the power comes back on. What I'm probably going to have to do is drastically extend this power station just to get it generating enough power to give this a jump start, and then we can get rid of this thing. Honestly thought we'd have enough power in the city, but it turns out we do not. A little bit of a shame. We are getting some buildings upgrading here, which is nice. What sort of level roads do we have over here? Let's get you up to high density. You're probably not ready for it yet, but at least when you are, you'll be able to go off and do your own thing. Let's make all of these roads high density. I think that one actually is, yeah. Okay, good stuff. So that's all done. Well, at least I know now that can fail, which obviously isn't something that I was aware of before. Now, how are we going on over here? We can certainly see that we are getting some building expansion. Okay, so obviously we've got some issues with... Do we have a deficit at the moment? No, we don't have a deficit. Oh, we are starting to get power back on. It is starting to flow back through. Obviously, that took the university out as well, which isn't a desirable thing. But the power will eventually reach everybody else. Of course, there's water problems as well because the water tower's offline, but that will get going shortly. We are starting to get some expansion here on these buildings. Got good money coming in. We're just going to need a fair bit more power. So I've got two options really. I could either extend the wind farm or put in something like a coal power plant or something just to generate enough power to give this thing a kickstart. It's going to be a little bit of a waste of money really, but it'll certainly do the job. It's what we need to be able to do. So what else have we got going in? We've got our university, which is good. Obviously, it's going to drop a little bit now because we had the power off, so that's affected some issues there. We've still got a yellow warning on power. That's most likely just because the fusion reactor's not charged. And that's exactly what the issue is. We do have an excess, but only a slight one. So, before the power fails completely, we are going to upgrade this place a little bit more because we know we need to do that. It is expensive. What we could do, of course, we will be getting rid of this soon. Now, this will seem like a little bit of a waste of money. And, of course, it is going to require more control net. But if we put the power amplifier on here, we'll literally double our power output. Well, when it gets enough people to actually get it up and running. But we are buying our control net from next door, so we should be fine once that gets going. So what else have we got going on? University's back open, but of course it's night time, so 1 o'clock in the morning. Most people aren't attending lectures at that sort of time. Most things are happy. What is our happiness actually? I haven't looked at that for a while. Everyone's happiness is generally going up. All wealth levels are going up. Commercial seems fine. Don't have any high wealth commercial yet, of course. Industrial, we've got no medium tech. High tech's going up, low tech's going down, which I don't mind too much, of course, because having high tech is cleaner. But we do need to get a bit of high wealth commercial going as well, because we don't really have any in here. Quite interesting. We'll have to find some space to try and cram some of that in. Of course, these places are going to struggle upgrading. Oh, they're not quite there yet. Quite a lot of garbage issues, but we completed the quest, so... or the mission, or whatever you want to call it. How are we doing here now? Okay, so it looks like that is all up and running. What is our power output levels? Yeah, we have an excess of 125 megawatts now, which is absolutely fantastic. Let's give it one final try. If we can't charge the reactor with that, then I don't think we're ever going to get it charged. So let's do it now before we start expanding the city. Wow, it actually failed again. How much power does this thing need to be able to charge up? Can't believe that's now failed twice in a row. I think I'm going to have to build another power plant just to get it up and running. Now, I thought the way it worked was it would just sit there and basically just suck power from the city until it had enough to kickstart it, but wow, that's actually amazing. So what I'm going to do for the time being is turn it off, because I can't actually charge it yet and it's just costing me money. So let's get that turned off and we'll come up with another power solution, even if it's just temporary. We may just extend the solar farm out as well, because what you've got to remember, now that we have the power amplifier on there, any of the upgrades get double output. So this vertical turbine says 15 megawatts, but it will actually be 30 megawatts because we have the double output from this thing. We still don't have that much of an excess of power, which is the strangest of things. So let's continue to build this road out. And let's continue to put very expensive wind turbines that we're going to be destroying shortly. And we'll let it charge up. And I probably won't try it again on this video because it causes all sorts of issues. But once we've got enough power in the bank, we will give it another go. So I think that's about all I can do for today. I've got the university down, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted this to be my education city. I wanted this to have my university. I mean, other people in the region have already built one and done a lot of the upgrades, so that saved me having to do that, which is fantastic. Still need the airport. Not sure what the tourism is like in the area, but we'll get that going. And we'll see if we can get some hotels and some casinos and some gambling going, because, you know, why not have casino right next to the university? Seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to me. So, guys, thanks a lot, again for watching. Hope you're still enjoying the series. I'm certainly still enjoying playing the game. And remember, for those of you who were put off by the always online element of this, it now has an offline feature, which we've all been waiting for. So, thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye for now.